Section 1. Two Lady Ambassadors, Two Bridges. Letter 1. 1,000 Glasses of Tea. My dear friends and family, one day my friend, the Kayseri poet and historian Muhsin İlyas Shubasi, said to me, "You remind me in many ways of Lady Montagu, and I think if you wrote down all the great things that you have seen here over the past 30 years, it would be of great interest to both Turks and the rest of the world. All would be curious to see how Turkey is perceived by a foreigner who has come here so often." At first, I thought it was a preposterous suggestion, for I couldn't imagine that my experiences in Turkey would be of any interest to anyone. Yet the more I thought about what he said, I decided that he did have a point, and that I needed to write down some of my travel experiences. In doing so, I can try to explain why I have continued to travel there for all these years. And so I decided to enter into an imaginary correspondence with the great Lady Mary herself, and to write my impressions and personal reflections in letters to her, as if I were updating her on the country she grew to love. The following letters are addressed to her, but also to you, my family and friends, to anyone else who cares to read them, and to the Turkish people. I am not writing a guide for foreign travelers to Turkey, and in this way, these letters will be very different than most of the travel pieces that have been written by visitors to Turkey over the past 400 years, and especially those written in the last 20 years. These letters will not constitute a travel journal, because a traveler usually ventures through unfamiliar places, whereas everywhere in Turkey is familiar to me in some way. I also do not wish to bore the reader with travelogue stories of the petty absurdities and pesky frustrations of travel, the gippy tummy, the missed planes and buses, the lost money or camera. You will not find here the racing explorer stories of Richard Burton, Alexandra David Neal, and Fred Burnaby. I do not wish either to write a guidebook describing scenic spots that can be discovered in the many travel books now being published or blogged on the Internet. These letters are not to serve as a primer on the country of Turkey, providing historical facts and fillers that can be found in any serious guidebook. My readers do not need to hear about all that Ataturk has done, mysterious stories of the harems, customs of the hammams, or what the Hittites did at Çatalhöyük. In the same vein, these letters will not be a sociological study of Turkish lifestyle patterns. Turkey is changing so rapidly that it would be impossible to encapsulate it. Nor are these letters to be a political analysis. Although I do not wish to close my eyes during the bad parts of the movie or to gloss over problems, I cannot pretend that I, as a foreigner, could ever understand those thorny parts of Turkish society. I cannot demystify this land of contrasts and contradictions. I will let the sociologists and politicians take on that one. And I certainly do not want these letters to serve as my memoirs or my autobiography. My life is certainly not that interesting, and my travel stories not all that adventuresome that I should indulge myself in boring you all with it. Most importantly, I do not want to poke fun at the Turks. Western eyes have always been upon them, and not always in a kind way. Such celebrated authors as Lamartine, Nerval, Gide, Gide, Loti, Gautier, Twain, Stark, Burnby, and others have taken turns describing the customs of the Turks. My major criticism of these travel writers, especially the great 19th century travelers who crossed through the exotic Levant with their overblown heroic tales of difficulties surmounted, is that they always seem supercilious, uncharitable, and downright disdainful towards their subject. I do not wish to relate lengthy and boring stories that lead the reader down a circuitous route to make a mocking point about how odd the customs of the land are, nor do I want to skewer Turkish pride by telling contemptuous or comical stories. I just want to relate some of the stories that have happened to me and what they mean to me. No, these letters will include personal experiences about everyday life. some of which I don't always understand. My years of travel and my entire professional career in cross-cultural relations have taught me much. The biggest lesson being that one must tread very lightly when walking in or talking about foreign lands and people. I have learned that your viewpoint onto the world is always tainted by the perspectives that you carry inside of you, inherited from your native land and from your upbringing. When you are confronted by an unexplainable situation, you must take a deep breath and stand back from it, and then remove your Western hegemonic glasses. Then, and only then, can you start to analyze what is theirs, yours, and the truth. Opening your eyes to the value of other people and other countries and societies unlike yours has a reward beyond price. And no other country in the world makes this encounter so gentle and as colorful as Turkey. I have been on the road with Turkey and her people for a long time now. I have grown to love this land and its culture as much as my own, or as much as France, my other adopted country. But I know all of you do not understand how I can feel so strongly about this Midnight Express country and its terrible Turks. I would like only that you give Turkey a chance, and I write these letters to try and establish, in my simple way, a greater understanding between Turkey and the rest of the world. And so, when you all ask me why I continue to travel to Turkey year after year, going back to the same dusty places, instead of dashing off to discover the four corners of the world like Phileas Fogg, I hope I can provide you here with some form of an answer. However, as I said previously, I am not just addressing these letters to you, my family and friends, and any potential readers, but also to the Turkish people. In doing so, I hope they will constitute one long and simple thank you letter to Turkey and her people, a simple expression of my respect and love for a country and its citizens. They are to be my way of paying them back for the thousands of glasses of tea that have been offered to me over the past 30 years, which is a lot of tea indeed. Yes, I would love another glass of tea. Love, your Big K.